Hi everyone, welcome back to Alexi. This is part 2 of my ranking of every Ninjago villain. In this part, we'll be covering up places 18 to 11. So we'll be covering basically the 8 middle villains in my list. If you haven't watched part 1, link is in the description. Remember that this list is entirely my opinion, and I'd love to see yours down below in the comment section. So anyway, let's begin with part 2 of my ranking of every Ninjago villain. The only reason I'm counting this more recent low-level criminal is because she technically has a role in Crystallized's setup, doing Vengestone deals across Ninjago. There's nothing really deep about her, as she's fairly minor of a villain. But she has a cute personality, her voice and design is fun, and I like the idea of a more powered crew car in the city. Not much about her, but she's just a fun little addition. Absolutely the most disappointing member of the council. As the next model of Mr. E, the one brutal ninja who nearly killed Sane in the Season 8 episode and was awesome with the only mask of deception with 4 arms, Mr. F should have been an even more dangerous version and even cooler. They could have also finally explored his identity and revealed him as Echo Sane. Crystallized is the series' longest season, so there is plenty of room for doing all of this. Unfortunately, they did nothing new with the character. He doesn't do that much fighting compared to Mr. E, so he's a downgrade where he isn't supposed to be. He's also still pretty silent, and his death is really underwhelming. Also because he's a silent character, he has practically no interactions with the other council members. So he's a more obscure member of the council, and the one that does the least amount of things in the season. He also never explained in the season how and when he was rebuilt. For the little he does, there's nothing truly bad about him, but overall very disappointing. Now we have the Mechanic. This is one of the villains that nobody really cared about. He first served as a minor villain in Season 6, 8, and 11, but then in Season 12, he actually serves a major role. He has the task of freeing Unagami from Prime Emperor, and kind of serves a threat. Still, nobody really cared about this guy. He's really very secondary. But then when he joined the council in Crystallized, this is when everyone really began getting surprised at how much prominence he was getting. He appears in a lot of scenes in Crystallized, like taunting Nia many times and interacting with the other Wolverine villains. I do see that he has appeared way too much in the Wolverine era. Not really much of a bad thing, but still. I think that his design is pretty good, he has a good voice, and I think his mechanical abilities are pretty cool. Remind me of Misdemeanor. Nothing that bad about him, but I just prefer other villains. This is the most interesting villain in the list. He has grown in prominence a lot over the years, and that's one of the things that the Wolverine era did the most unique at raising a minor villain into a more main antagonist. At number 15 we have Vex. The main villain of the Ice chapter, Vex is a pretty basic Ninjago villain. He is a formling who failed to achieve his animal form and wants revenge. So he raises Saint's memories and turns him into the evil Ice Emperor, who will conquer the entire Neverland for decades. Vex's motives are nothing special, but I do like the idea of a formless. His manipulative nature is good, and you really love to hate him at times. However, he doesn't do much things, he doesn't have many fighting skills or great quotes, other than serving Saint, which is reasonable since he is the central antagonist. And aside from his backstory and revengeful motives, we don't see much of him. Not a bad villain by any means, but a pretty basic one. Average. Now we have the Ice Emperor. Quite possibly the villain that has aged the worst. The Ice Emperor is basically an evil saint, which is awesome since not only is Saint usually the most good-hearted member of the ninja, but the idea of a ninja being the actual main antagonist of the season is straight off great. You have seen the ninja briefly become evil before, but this time it will be completely prominent. The Ice Emperor's voice and design is also great and intimidating, and so is his character. He's so evil and hateful, and it kind of reminds me of how Garmadon was as an emperor in Season 9. Unfortunately, now he is very much a ruined concept. First was Saint getting his memories back. Of course this was bound to happen, but the execution was not very good. It just happened very easily. Vex literally is just as the word protect, and Saint gets his memories back. Also easily. Unfortunately, the aftermath was even worse. Saint conquered the Neverland for decades. Yet in season 11's conclusion or in any other season, he doesn't face any consequences. And speaking of that, the Ice Emperor story is never brought up again after season 11, all until Crystallized. Possibly the earliest Crystallized leak was an episode where the Ice Emperor comes back. It's a great idea to finally address this story, and as mentioned with other villains, Crystallized was the show's longest season, so it's a great chance for the concluding this same story that is so big. Unfortunately, they just didn't do this. Saying coming back as the Ice Emperor is nothing more than a joke. His voice is funny, he jealous of people. Yet, this is very insulting. The Ice Emperor story was very serious, yet here they brought it back for humor. After the opportunity to bring it back, when they actually do, it's to make a bad joke. This really wasn't right. Overall, the Ice Emperor at the start was a fantastic concept, with some great ideas and a cool design and character. But now, the series has not treated the storyline very good. The reason the Ice Emperor is at this spot so high compared to other villains is because he was going so well entertaining while he was there in the Ice chapter. Unfortunately, still, he's very much a villain that has aged very bad. Despite being a previous model, Mystery is so better than Mr. F. He is very mysterious and brutal and dangerous in the Oni trilogy, as he nearly kills Sane in a fight, and that is still some of the show's best action scenes. His design is also quite appealing, and on one hand, they really made the right call on not revealing who he is at the end. His overall death was fantastic and very intense, so much so that some countries had cut that scene. How do they sing that? It didn't deserve it because the scene was so awesome and dark, much like the entire Oni trilogy. So yeah, a great secondary villain. Vangelis is a very entertaining villain. As the Skull Sorcerer in Season 13, he's quite intimidating and has a pretty cool design. With as a dude, he's very powerful and his wings make him more practical and fun to see in action scenes. I also really like how he's related to the whole Vengestone plot concluded in Crystallized, and this makes him and the season as a whole feel more grand. He was overall one of the extremely refreshing and original things Master of the Mountain offered. Vangelis later returns in Crystallized, of course, which doesn't do as much as the other members. However, I like his portrayal as a fallen king who wants revenge, and his interactions were decent, even if that's something to say with nearly every council member. So yep, an entertaining villain. Next up we have Iron Baron. Iron Baron might be one of the least liked villains in the series. People really dislike this character. However, in retrospect, he's actually quite good. First off, he's greatly conceived. He's an intimidating dictator who mistreats the dragon hunters and uses his power as an advantage to really dominate. I like the idea of a dictator in Ninjago in a rather apocalyptic realm, and this also gives him something more realistic. Dictators and evil rulers have existed in real life, and the Iron Baron is a great representation. He's also very dark. He's mentioned to have actually killed some dragon hunters who failed to find the dragon armor. He also treats the dragons in the realm so evilly. You really hate him. He's such a scary person. The Oni trilogy really managed to make some realistic and dark characters and concepts. We see this with Arumi, but also Iron Baron. The main thing Iron Baron was criticized about was his motives. They are kind of weak and lazy. However, I think they make sense. He wants to ensure he has power to domain everything. And this really adds more to him. His design is also great. I like how he lost many limbs, and he said that was quite satisfying. He really deserved this, and it is as intense as the season's 3 other deaths. All in all, the Iron Baron is such an underrated villain, and people should like him more. So that's about it for part 2 of my ranking of every Ninjago villain. Part 3, the final part, will release probably this week or maybe next week. Also, happy holidays everyone, hope you're having a very good Christmas season. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, leave a like and subscribe. Share that in the comments again down below. What is your or favorite Ninjago villains, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.